This is still my fucking city. This is still my town. Don't ever forget that. Don't ever forget that. Dwight Powell in the chat. What up, Dwight? Nice to have you around, man. Hey. That's a little, you know, it's a little crazy that they've got you out there with the fourth stringers in the preseason game. I think you deserve more than that. I think you deserve a statue about right here. Hey, can we get a statue of Dwight Powell right here? Yeah. Get to work on it. All gold. No, not copper. Gold. How much does that cost? 5.8 billion? It's fine. That's cool. We can afford that. Views are great. The weather, you can start to feel the weather start to turn a little bit. And I feel like that's when I really become activated. Monetization off. Hold on, we gotta change that. Monetization on. Okay, what's going on? Why is it off? Why does it say monetization off? What do they think? What do they think this is? What do they think this is? You know, I start to drag a little bit around these months. Admittedly, I start to drag just a tiny bit. Now that doesn't mean I'm slipping, because I'm not. Right? That's a muscle right there. Right? That's a muscle. That's a calf, right? What's the slightly workout? I got a nap. I'm not going today. I'm sore as fuck. Got a great run in last night with Nick. Played some basketball with Nick. My next workout, which I'll do tomorrow. Starting off with a dumbbell hang clean. Going into a dumbbell bench press and sumo deadlift. Into a standing press and down tempo deadlift. Into IYT and planks. Does Nick double clutch when he dunks? No. Triple clutches. That app is called Volt. I've used it a long time. It used to be a Gatorade. It might still be a Gatorade thing. I'm not sure. But it used to be Gatorade Volt. Somebody told me to get it a long time ago. And I don't know. I'm really fucking bad with workouts. I need people to tell me what to do. I don't know them. I'm not smart about that shit. And this is nice because it gives you a workout. It tracks your weight, and then after each set you like put in, all right, that was hard, I could have done 2 more set reps, I could have done blah blah blah. Can Nick hit a fadeaway pull-up going left? I've yet to see it. Nick is, I mean, we know Nick's tall. It's deceptively tall. When he gets position on you, you're not getting the rebound. You want to hoop with Nick? I'll text you, B-Dot. There might be something this weekend. I'll text you. You want to know the shot that I'm really working on? The shot that I'm really working on is the Nash fadeaway. Dribbling under the basket, circling out. Brunson, this is the Brunson shot as well. Circling into the paint. Chris Paul, obviously, master of that shot as well. When are you guys gonna run with legs? Oh man, legs still looks good, man. You know that he's good. You think legs can still dunk? Big brain move is working on your 7-iron instead. I don't know if I talked about this before. Not a golf guy. Never really golfed ever. Only golfed once. Only played a round of golf one time in my life. It's getting close, though. I can just sense it. The idea of golf was never fun to me, really. The idea of just being out with your friends and walking around outside and drinking beer, fun, right? But, you know, the idea of golf in and of itself, not fun. I'm starting to get there. The idea of it sounds fun. You know, if somebody hit me up right now, I was like, yo, you want to golf this weekend? I'd say, yeah. I grew up playing baseball, so my golf swing is irreparably broken. Mine as well. That's the problem with me, right? And I just go out there. This is why I'm doing slow pitch softball too. I'm gripping and fucking ripping. You know? I'm getting up there. Ah! I'm swinging as hard as I can. I just want distance. I know the ball's not going to go straight no matter what I do. So I just want to hit it, and I want people to go, damn. Like, that's my goal. Come play disc golf. Swings are the same, just opposite side. I can't throw a fucking frisbee to save my life. It's one of the bigger character flaws of mine, is I can't throw a frisbee. And also, here's the reality about golf for me as well. Is I'm horrible at it. So they have used the explosion cut for that grunt. Yeah, I should have. I'm a grunter. Softball, when I swing, we're grunting. Basketball, I grunt. Anytime I shoot, basically. I hit the Anthony Edwards A. I started doing it as a joke. Just fucking around when I was playing with my friends. And now I do it all the time. Hey! When I shoot an open three, I'll say A. I'm not kidding. If I had a home gym, would be weightlifting grunter, but embarrassed for in public gym. I'll let out a grunt in a public gym every now and then. I don't really feel that weird about it. I will say there's some people who are free, and there must be some sex thing going on. Like there's some freak grunters at the gym, and I really do think there's a sexual gratification thing happening where it's just like, are you fucking serious, dude? Like I almost want to go up to him and just be like, are you fucking joking? Like, let's be real. We're all lifting, right? There's no need for what you've got going on, man. And I've got like the new AirPods where you can noise cancel, and they still seep through the noise cancellation. It's crazy. Start a gym with the opposite rules of Planet Fitness where you get kicked out if you don't grunt. I want to shout out Melvick real quick. Want to shout out my guy. Obviously, if you remember, Hoop GM, the browser-based basketball game we played once on stream when there was nothing going on. That was fun. That got us through a full off-season stream. But he has, out of the kindness of his heart, made graphics for us that we are going to use when we do our prediction streams, which are next week. So everybody give a shout out to Melvick in the chat. How do you stop a hurricane? You don't. That shit's scary, man. If any of you are in that area, I hope you've gotten out. But if you have family in that area, I hope they're out and safe. You hurricane. Oh. I'm worried about all that stuff. All right, we got a couple things to get into today. I've been monitoring it. I've been keeping up with it. It's fucking scary. You're right in the path, hoping for minimal flooding. Oh, I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're right in the path, you're not getting minimal flooding. You might die. Get out. Get out while you can. You been in a big tornado hurricane before? Hurricane, no. I mean, I've lived in Dallas my whole life. Tornadoes, though? I mean, yeah. Like, have I been in a tornado? Like, has one, like, came that close to me? I don't think so. But, I mean, I've, been through tornadoes in the area. I'm riding the wave in the boat. I love America. Have you guys seen that Lieutenant Dan guy who's apparently riding the hurricane out in his sailboat? I saw there was a site that had the odds of whether he would live or die. Is that not the darkest shit you've ever heard? Did you see that plastic company that wouldn't let employees evacuate and 4 people passed? That's not surprising. Yeah, can you imagine that? Honey, we got to mortgage the house. We got to take a second mortgage out on the house, honey. I lost $10,000 fucking dollars on Lieutenant Dan living. All right, here we go. Lots of talk and discussion about this one right here. Is this going to piss us off? What do you guys think? You might die. Get out. Get out while you can. You might die. Get out. Get out while you. True. You really might. I don't know if you guys will believe me or not, but I have not seen this. I've seen one or two. The disrespect is going crazy. I've seen a lot of the Mavs have been disrespected. People have been disrespectful. Now I gotta say immediately, where the fuck's Luka? What does Curry do? Like this isn't 2016 anymore. What's he doing here? Huh? What's going on there? Imagine sports betting on gladiators back then. Oh, they were betting for sure. You think back then? When did gambling start happening? When did gambling get invented? All right, let's get into it. The NBA GM survey. Now, for some reason, I thought we've already gone over this, but that was the ESPN GM survey, correct? This is a different thing entirely. Dwight Powell. That is the real Dwight Powell. 8 months on the Slightly Delusional Club. Thank you. So here we go. The NBA GM survey. Let's just do a brief little scroll through last year's just to see where everyone's mind was at a season ago, huh? Connor, 10 months on the Slightly Delusional Club. This survey is an example of why many teams are ass. Okay, I'm interested in getting to it. Oh, we have a full history. History for key predictions. Oh, this is actually kind of nice. I like that. So, of course, last year, Boston and Denver both split the vote. Boston did end up winning. Milwaukee a couple of years ago to repeat. They were the favorites to repeat a couple of years ago. 43% of GMs said that Milwaukee was going to win. They lost in the first round of the Heat that year. That crazy Jimmy Butler series. Giannis was dealing with an injury. Brooklyn, 72%. Brooklyn, 72%. Oh, I'm sorry. That was not Milwaukee's repeat year. Wow. All right, so they're not that accurate. If there's not a super team that they can rely on, they're really not that accurate. Oh, actually, let's do this later because down here they spoil it. All right, we'll look at this at the end. Which team will win the 2025 NBA Finals? There is the Boston Celtics getting 83% of the vote. We're doing my full predictions next week. I'm starting to map it out a little bit, what it's going to look like. I'm really kind of diving into some of these teams. But right now, if I had to pick one, I would pick the Celtics as well. They were a historically good team a year ago. They're pretty much the same exact team. There are some concerns about KP, Horford, their bigs, how healthy they are and stuff like that. But as long as they're relatively healthy, I think that they're a somewhat safe bet. KP's injuries plus Drew and Horford's age is concerning. Yeah, it's not like a perfect bet, but 83% sounds about right to me. The Thunder getting some votes as well, 13%, which would be what? A couple of votes. How many people voted here? Do we know? Does it say how many votes there were? I don't see the number. The Mavericks do get, I'm assuming 3% is one vote. Assuming 3% is one vote. So the Mavericks do get a vote. I doubt every NBA GM participated in this. Eastern Conference rankings, the Celtics 97% first. Cleveland. Huh? Cleveland got a first place vote? That's very interesting. New York and Philadelphia splitting votes for second. This is interesting because Philly actually got more second place votes than New York, but New York got a lot of third place votes. So I think people see a wider range of outcomes for the Sixers than the Knicks. Windhorse infiltrated the vote and gave the Cavs one. Milwaukee's feels like a sleeping giant a little bit to me. I look around the East. Obviously, the Celtics are the top dog. I have to convince myself of any other team being number 2. And currently, I'm not ready to get into my full my stamping in predictions yet. But I kind of am thinking Milwaukee second. 49 wins last year in a weird fucked up season. I feel like they're being slept on. I really, really do, to be honest with you. Like, New York is so brand new as a team. Philly also so brand new as a team. Cleveland should still be good. But, like, Cleveland higher than Milwaukee, man. Oh, I don't know about that. I really don't. Indiana, the reigning Eastern Conference finalists. Only getting some fourth place votes, and that's it. In the West, the Oklahoma City Thunder getting 80% first place votes. Somebody gave them a fourth place vote. I would love to hear what the reasoning for that was. I'm actually very interested to hear that. Timberwolves getting the majority of the second place votes. Denver and Dallas, both neck and neck. Phoenix, Memphis, New Orleans, Golden State. Somebody gave Golden State a fourth place vote. Somebody gave Phoenix a first place vote, as well as Dallas. Okay, I don't think there's anything too outlandish about this. I do think the Timberwolves, they're just... I'm not like as convinced they're going to be great again this year as everyone else seems to be. But we'll see. The Nuggets, they're interesting because I think all signs point towards them kind of taking steps backwards. But I don't think anyone wants to outright say it. Like, people are scared. You hear people talk about it, but the big, mainstream media guys, the podcasters, the writers, whatever, the YouTubers, they're all scared to say it. Just because Jokic can prove you wrong, you're going to look like an idiot. And that fan base is ravenous. So, how surprised would you be if the Suns are better than the Wolves? I'm going to be real with you. Would not be surprised at all. So I agree with this top 5 right here. I think these are the 5 best teams. Dallas and Denver is basically neck and neck. Jason 10-foot Mavs at 5 behind the Nuggets. Who else was the Mavs behind if they were 5? That just feels... People never expect the Mavericks to be good. I mean, that's really the thing that I've come to. It's like not a fun prediction for some reason for people. People don't like it. Golden State Warriors over Kings, I'm discussing. Yeah, no Kings love here, which is a little bit surprising because there's 8 teams here. Sacramento doesn't get 1 fourth place vote. The Lakers don't get 1 fourth place vote. Who else are we missing? Obviously, the Clippers have fallen off. They're not getting a fourth place vote. Players who will win the 24-25 key MVP. Shea, number 1 at 40%. I think this is due in large part to everybody expecting the Thunder to be as good as a 60-win team this upcoming season. And if that's the case, then your best player is going to be in MVP conversations. And when your best player averages 30-plus points per game, he'll be an MVP candidate. Luka, number 2. Those two getting in the over 70% of the votes with those two right there. Embiid, Jokic, Tatum also receiving votes. Giannis feels a little disrespected here. Jaylen Brown, huh? Who will win? So this isn't like Jaylen Brown might get 5th place. This is like Jaylen Brown will win. That's Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown casted that ballot. And Anthony Edwards. Yeah, so surprising here that Giannis is just in the receiving votes category. I'm telling you, man, the Bucks are being slept on a little bit here, as is Giannis. Absolutely. Absolutely getting slept on. I really don't have a problem with this. I know Mavs fans, Luka fans might think this is disrespectful. I think the assumption here is the Thunder are going to win 60 games, right? If the Thunder are kind of disappointing next year, Shea's not winning MVP. If the Mavericks are really good next year, Luka's winning MVP. I'm telling you right now, if the Mavericks are a mid-50 win team, Luka plays, the required games played, he's going to win the MVP. I don't think you guys should worry about it. I'm telling you, it's his time, okay? We're going to get to the point where, again, if the Mavs are contending for a top seed in the West, mid-50s wins, Luka's doing Luka shit, he's going to win the MVP. It's his time. I promise you guys. I promise. Just believe me, okay? If we're starting a franchise today and could sign any player in the NBA, who would it be? So Wemby, 77%. Obviously, that's not surprising. Shea, Jokic, Luka. So this was the one I did see. I don't know what 3% to 10% mean. Does that mean that Shea got one more vote than Luka? This is preposterous, right? This is absolutely preposterous. Wemby being number one, fine, whatever. I don't care about that. You're investing into the 20-year-old guy, right? The 20-year-old freak on both ends of the court. So we're just really arguing who's second here. You could make an argument for Luka number one in this, by the way, but I'm not going to do it. I would take Wemby. I'm sorry to say it. But what exactly is the argument for Shea over Luka? Like, I'm trying to get there. Oh, defense. I'm done with that fucking gimmick. I really am. We watched it, right? We watched his team lose in the second round to the Mavericks. Don't want to put too much blame on Shea because he was awesome in that series when it was really the only guy who was doing anything offensively for the Thunder. But guess what? I watched his ass sit in the corner the entire fucking game. Not only that, I watched his ass get hunted over and over. I watched the Mavericks make a point of attacking Shea Gilgeous-Alexander on defense. I'm done with the fucking defense shit. It's become such a fake talking point at times. It really is. Yes, defense obviously matters in the NBA. Are we going to sit here and pretend that it's a full 50-50 split? You're out of your fucking mind. It's not. It never, ever, ever has been. Okay? Maybe in the 60s when nobody could score. Okay? But it's never been a 50-50 split. Right? Offense has always been more important. But honestly, if people just tell you, hey, he's a great defender, that's all you need to hear. You just need some people to tell you that, and that's it. Hey, this guy sucks on defense. This guy's good on defense. Okay. I don't know what I'm watching. I don't know what I'm looking for. I've just been told this guy's a great defender. So yeah, that's agreed. I don't think there's a single argument for Shea over Luka here. None. I mean, we're just going stat-wise since they've been drafted. There's not any comparisons there to make whatsoever. Luka towers over him in any statistical category you want to talk about. If we're talking about postseason success, there's not really a conversation to be had either. And maybe that changes this year. Maybe the Thunder, win the NBA Finals, and then that's all null and void. But I guess I'll take the guy who's been in the conference finals twice in the last 3 years, the guy who's won 5 postseason series and who is only favored to win one of those series, the guy who's been one of the best postseason performers ever historically. I'll go ahead and take that guy, And that is true too, Jeremy. Is Shea's 25 years old. 25, 26. Going on year, what are we now? 7? I do think because it was, I don't want to say late blooming. It was like normal development for a player. Shea was awesome when the Thunder were struggling. But since the Thunder have been good now, I think there is this misconception among like more casual fans, and media who only talk about 3 players at any given time, and now Shea's entered that mix, that he's younger and more interesting and flashier when he has been in the league for a minute now. So anyways, I mean, I just don't agree. Telling you slightly this will age well. He's going to be yet again better this year. Okay, but can Luka not be better this year? He was better last year than he's ever been. If the Mavs win 55-plus game and Luka has a Luka season and plays 65-plus games and doesn't win MVP, would you change your stance on his MVP career trajectory? Yes, I would. I would switch to he's not going to win one. For whatever reason, he's just never going to win one. He might get like a sympathy one when he's 32. And people are like, oh, fuck, we really should have gave Luka a couple of them. Which player forces opposing coaches to make the most adjustments? So Luka at number 1. Steph at his grandfather age, still number 2. Jokic number 3. Giannis. Joel Embiid. Okay, there, Luka number 1. That makes the most sense. We've seen he's the most double team player in the NBA, so any other name doesn't make sense. Steph Curry, obviously, still with the shooting, just breaks defenses. Jokic, gonna pick you apart. Giannis, build the fucking wall. Embiid, what do? Double team. You have to, pretty much. Which player is most likely to have a breakout season in 24-25? J-Dub at number 1. I hate these. What does a breakout season mean? What exactly is a breakout season? Has Jalen Williams not broken out? What else is Jalen Williams going to do? Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley has finished 3rd in Defensive Player of the Year voting. What does a breakout mean? Ja Morant. What the fuck does breakout mean? Ja Morant, breakout player, huh? That's funny because Ja Morant's already won Most Improved. So what does that even mean? Victor Wembanyama breakout. Victor Wembanyama's an MVP conversation. I think that's a breakout. Paolo, same thing. Cade, Brandon Miller, okay. LaMelo got a vote. Anthony Edwards got a vote. Derek Lively got a vote. Hey! D-Live. Tyrese Maxey. What the fuck does that... Okay. Just one Most Improved player, but all right. Trey Murphy, okay. Keegan Murray, okay. Andrew Nimhard, Şengün, Cam Thomas, Amin Thompson, Asar Thompson. Pimples. Evan Mobley at age 37. You know if he shoots more threes per game? Yes, that's what we're going to be talking about, Evan Mobley. Going into year 12 of his career. He posted some clips of him in the offseason. I don't know. Nobody knows what breakout, Most Improved. Nobody knows what this means. Who's the best point guard in the NBA? Luka, only 37% of votes. Shea, 30%. Steph, 23%. Brunson at 10%. Wow. Okay. I mean, it's clearly and obviously Luka, and I don't think it's remotely fucking close whatsoever. But all right. Who's the best shooting guard in the NBA? Anthony Edwards, number 1. Devin Booker, Shea. Okay, here's Luka. All right, so is that where the problem is? Steph Curry. What the hell is this? Is that the problem? Is Luka got votes in every fucking position? I think that's what the problem is. All right, so immediately, no Donovan Mitchell. Nobody thought Donovan Mitchell was the best shooting guard. What's the argument for Luka? Like, I want to know. I've heard the Steph Curry stuff. I think at this point in time he's the point guard, but Steph Curry stuff is somewhat interesting. I guess you're assuming that Draymond is their point guard. I mean, who else would be? Shea's the point guard, right? Shea plays point guard for them. Luka, what is the argument for Luka not being the fucking point guard? What exactly? I mean, what? It's just a stupid thing. Best small forward, Jason Tatum, 40. Luka's tied for second as the best small forward. What? Where? How? Like, what does that even mean? How could he be the small forward? I think there's some people who think like, well, that's who he guards mostly on defense, even though that's not even really true. Tatum number 1. Okay, yeah. I would rather have KD if we're putting KD in the small forward grouping, which I would say he's more of a 4. LeBron is a 3. I'd rather have LeBron than Tatum. Just full stop. I think LeBron's better currently than Tatum. Best power forward, Giannis. KD. Also receiving votes, Anthony Davis. Draymond? I'd love to know the guy who put Draymond here. Do they have Giannis as a power forward? Because if so, what? Okay. Sabonis again. I'd love to know. Do you have Giannis? Whoever the fuck puts Sabonis here, where do you have Giannis on your position, or Kevin Durant, or Anthony, or any other power forward? Tatum, Wemby. Okay. Giannis got 97% of the votes last year. Best center, Jokic at 87, Embiid, and Wemby got a vote. I'm assuming that means a vote. Okay. Wemby, you guys know I'm 1,000% bought in. He's absolutely not in this conversation. Highest percentage of total votes on position questions. Jokic number 1, Giannis number 2, Luka number 3. And there you go. I mean, this is what I've been saying. There's your consensus top 3 players in the NBA, followed by Shea and Tatum. Offseason moves. Which team made the best overall moves this offseason? The Thunder number 1. I would agree with that. I think they had the best offseason. The Sixers had a very good offseason for, where they were at as a team. I just think that the Thunder offseason was a little bit better just because they didn't lose anything. And I guess the Sixers really didn't lose anything either, but the Sixers are just so entrenched in their in this group. Paying Paul George that much money over that many years is scary. But I still think it was a great offseason for them. Like, it was a move they had to make, absolutely. Batum erasure. We're bringing back Batum. Oh, that's true. They lose Batum. Bringing back Batum would have been nice, but Tobias Harris obviously gone as well. A lot of teams had great offseasons, man. I'm telling you guys, there's not bad. Like, I really don't think there are traditionally bad front offices anymore. Knicks, I do think the Knicks offseason is overrated. I think it was good, but there's a pretty good amount of risk involved there. Nets get a vote. I saw somebody in the chat confused about that. Look, I think that's a good shout. I think they had a really fucking good offseason. It's just naturally, I think teams that got better and are closer to championship contention absolutely deserve a bigger shout than a team that went the other direction. But getting that many picks from Mikal Bridges, getting all your picks back so you control your own destiny, great offseason for the Nets through and through. I'm telling you guys, the Bulls offseason, I don't think it was great, but let's see Giddey play a little bit. Orlando Magic getting KCP was big. They just extended, if you want to count that as part of the offseason, just extended Wendell Carter Jr. at a pretty good number. Brought back Goga Bitadze. Didn't Franz get an extension? Sacramento Kings. Which one player acquisition will make the biggest impact? Paul George, number 1, absolutely, 100%. That is 100% the answer. Mikal Bridges, yeah. Cat, yeah. Caruso, DeMar DeRozan, Isaiah Hartenstein, yeah. Damian Lillard last year only got 47% of the votes. I want to go back and see who else was getting votes last year. What else could have been it? I'm trying to think. Biggest player acquisition. Drew. Okay, Drew. No Clay. I think not having Clay here is fine. Honestly. Like, we're talking about top 15 player here in Paul George, top 15, top 20 player. Mikal Bridges, top 40, 50 player. Cat, top 40, 50 player. Caruso, DeMar and Isaiah Hartenstein. Honest to God, in my top 100 player rankings, I'd have every single one of these guys ahead of Clay. So, totally think that's fair. What was the most underrated player acquisition? Alex Caruso. How the fuck could that be underrated? Everybody talked about it ad nauseum like they just got Michael Jordan. Everybody said the Chicago Bulls made the worst trade in NBA history. How the fuck could that be underrated? KCP. Okay. Hartenstein. He's making $30 million a year. Like, what does underrated mean? I don't even think KCP's an underrated move either. Everyone's talking about it. Tyus Jones, everyone's talked about it. Klay Thompson, I wouldn't even put that in underrated either. Chris Paul, like, Kyle Anderson is a good underrated shout. Josh Giddey. Caleb Martin, Gary Trent Jr. So I will push back a little bit here, right? I will push back a little bit on something. Give us your underrated pick. Let's see. If I'm going to go real sicko mode, real sicko mode, and think about a real underrated acquisition, I think Najee Marshall fits into this type of category. I'm just throwing it out there. I think Najee Marshall fits into this type of category. But if I want to go real sicko, D'Anthony Melton, I actually really like that pickup for the Warriors. That could be a real underappreciated move. Do you want to know my gross answer? And it's not more of an underrated. I think it's more nobody wants to talk about it because it is gross and it feels gross. But if we're just talking pure basketball, this guy's going to be on the basketball court and playing. I do think we could look at Kevin Porter Jr. in January or February and be like, oh, damn, he's actually been pretty good for the Clippers. Doesn't feel good to talk about, right? I don't even think KPJ is that good. He definitely showed some decent flashes. Very frustrating player. I was never like super bought in on him. I mean, Rockets fans at the time thought the world of him. Never really bought into that, but I think he'll be good enough where we're like, oh, damn, I can't believe the Clippers got him. Who knows, though? We could be wrong. It does feel like when guys do some fucked up shit and are out the league for a minute and they come back, doesn't it feel like they're just bad? Like it's almost like basketball karma gets back to them. Dyson Daniels is a really good shout out as well. Tobias Harris. All right, I'll throw Tobias Harris as a mention. Miles Bridges had a bad season last year. Deshaun Watson's horrible. Which team will be the most improved in 24-25? Grizzlies, obviously the easy answer here. Spurs, 76ers. Also receiving votes. Pistons. Hey, I'm here for it. Houston Rockets, Orlando Magic, Phoenix Suns. Yeah, Grizzlies, obviously. Just because they'll be healthy. Now, if we're going most improved in the sense of let's eliminate the teams that were really injured last year and let's talk about teams that are like making a leap and are just better than we actually anticipated. You know who I'm talking about. I am going to drop a video on them, hopefully tomorrow. I know I've said that. Derek Lively video is coming out today, by the way. I've recorded it before I went live. You just got to edit it now. The Hornets! Magic could apply here. I think, what did the Magic win last year? 47 games? How many wins do you really expect them to get this year? What was the most surprising move of the offseason? Cat is up there. There might be some recency bias here, but Cat definitely... That was fucking shocking. Paul George to Philly, that wasn't really surprising at all. It wasn't what I predicted to happen, but it was 100% like in the cards. You're higher on the Hornets than me, and I literally over here. Hey, man. DeMar DeRozan to Sacramento. But yeah, a bit of a shock. So Mikal Bridges to the Knicks. So I'm wondering, let's say the Cat trade and the Mikal trade happened at the same time. Which one was the more surprising one? Because the Mikal one was shocking. Not just Mikal going to the Knicks, but the price that it was. Yeah, exactly. The haul. But Cat, though, I do think Cat would be more surprising just from the Timberwolves side of things. It was more like the Nets trading Mikal Bridges. Duh, that makes total sense. But the Timberwolves trading Cat was like, what the fuck just happened? So I do agree that's the most surprising move. Danny Avdija to Portland, that was surprising as well. Oh, Zachary Richer drafted number 1. Tyus Jones to Phoenix, a bit of a surprise that he got that little money. Caleb Martin to Philly, is that really that surprising? DeJounte Murray to New Orleans, that felt like a glove. That felt like an obvious trade. Klay Thompson to Dallas, yeah, that is surprising. Rob Pelinka voted Klay to Dallas. Rookies and international. Who will win the 24-25 Rookie of the Year? Reed Sheppard getting 50% of the votes. Now, okay, immediately, Victor Wembanyama only got 50% of the votes last year? Huh. Was that a Chet thing? Was it 50-50? Zach Edey, 30%. Stephon Castle, 13%. That poster he had was crazy. Ron Holland getting some votes as well. Okay. Alex Sarr's looked good in the preseason. Rookie of the Year is so tough this year, man. I really do like Reed Sheppard a lot. I just wonder if he's going to get enough minutes. So, yeah, surprised not to see Richer, who looked good in the preseason as well. Right now, my pick, and I haven't done awards yet, and I'm happy that will be the last prediction stream I do because that'll give me more preseason to look at some of these rookies and try to figure out what their role is going to be. Right now, I would give it to Edey, although he had some nice plays against the Mavericks on Monday night. Got 2 fouls in 2 minutes. The first 2 minutes of the game. Peace out, Shrimp. So that would be my pick right now, but it's a tough one. Could definitely see Reed Sheppard winning it. Castle, maybe. Ron Holland, I can't really see. Sorry, could see. Richer, I could see, obviously. Khalil Ware is a sleeper one. He looks good. Khalil Ware looks good. Will he get enough minutes, though? Rookie on the Heat. Who knows? Which rookie will be the best player in 5 years? Reed Sheppard, 43% of the votes. Castle, 17%. Richer, 13%. Bub Carrington, 7%. Sarr, 7%. Bazula's got some votes. Klingon, Ron Holland, Dalton Kennett. Really? That's Pelinka. That's Pelinka right there. Okay, this is interesting. So last year it was Victor Wembanyama, 90% of the votes. Obvious. Surprising that's not 100. Okay. You think Khalil Ware's on the same trajectory as Lively? I hate comparing players. I was doing it for this Derek Lively video. It's so difficult for me. No, because they have Bam, but we'll see. I do think Klingon's an interesting Rookie of the Year dark horse, for sure. I think Klingon's actually an interesting pick for this. Where, like, it could be almost, I'm not comparing his game to Gobert, but it could be a Gobert situation where he might not have, like, the stats scoring-wise as some of these guys, but impact-wise, he might end up being the better guy, if that makes sense. Reed Sheppard is nasty, but it's kind of interesting to see how massive his pool is with these GMs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I didn't fully follow the draft process. Wasn't he a super late riser in the draft? Those guys always generate a ton of hype. Like, it went from Reed Sheppard, good pick, to all of a sudden, Reed Sheppard could be the number 1 overall pick. Like, kind of a late burst, dominated Summer League. I feel like that's just what's on everyone's mind. 5 years ago, Zion got 70% of the votes to be the best from his rookie class in 5 years. I think we'd all say John Morant is over him, right? I think we'd all say that Ja is over him. It's just an injury-related thing, but it's him or Zion, right? Even with Zion's injuries, like, who would you put ahead of him? Maybe coming off of Garland's All-Star year, you could have made Garland's healthy and plays argument, but I don't think you can do that after last year. Who else was in this draft class? Any like late picks that could have an argument? Daniel Gafford. Which rookie was the biggest steal at where he was selected in the draft? Bub Carrington, 14th. Wow, look at how many guys are tied here. Bub Carrington at 14th. Looks like a really good player. Devin Carter, I do like Devin Carter quite a bit. Johnny Furphy. Get some love. Dalton Connect, 17. Terrence Shannon Jr., 27th. Topich, 12th. You got to be real. I'm a little bit worried about Topich being on the Thunder for some reason. Zulis at 11 get some votes. Klingon at 7 get some votes. Really? 7, huh? No Melvin Ajinka Ajinka. Kim Christie got some votes. Isaiah Collier, Zach Edey. Kyle Filipowski, Jared McCain, Baylor Shireman, Reed Shepard at 3. Ow. Cody Williams at 10. I mean, this is a difficult one to predict, especially in a draft where there wasn't like super high in talent and everyone was kind of close. Who was the best international player in the NBA? Jokic, Luka, and Wemby. No Giannis love, which is a little contradictory, but there's somebody who picked Victor Wembanyama as a center, as the best center in the NBA. So there's somebody who I think has Victor Wembanyama as his best player. That has to be it. Right? That has to be the explanation. Who is the best international player not in the NBA? Sasha Vesnikov. Nikola Mirotic. Is he balling out? Does anybody know? Eddie Tavares, Nolan Traore. Is he in this draft? Denton Musa. Jetty Osman. Jetty Osman's not in the NBA. That's news to me. I just discovered Jetty Osman was no longer in the NBA. Boban Armel Traore. Mirotic very good in Barcelona. Okay. Still one of the craziest things. I mean, he was making a lot of money and a very good player in the NBA. Traore. Defense. This is a long ass thing. Who is the best defensive player in the NBA? Victor Wembanyama. Overwhelming 40% of the first place votes. Bam Adebayo. Number 2, Rudy Gobert tied for 2. Drew Holiday tied for 2. Giannis, AD, Herb Jones, Caruso getting some votes. Jaden McDaniels, Marcus Smart. But the Boston media mafia just cannot help themselves, huh? No, AD's right here. Tied for 3rd, I guess. Tied for 5th, technically, but yeah, Wemby, number 1. I mean, it's time now. I think Wemby's overwhelming favorite to be Defensive Player of the Year this year. Who's the best perimeter defender in the NBA? Drew, number 1. K. Caruso, 2. Herb, Lou Dort. OG, Jaden McDaniels, Marcus Smart, Derek White also receiving votes. Is Lou Dort really a better perimeter defender than OG? Better perimeter defender than Jaden McDaniels? I personally do not think so, but he is very good. Drew Holiday being number 1, completely fine. Drew has a crazy PR team. Yeah, I mean, Drew's fucking good. Caruso definitely has an argument. Herb definitely has an argument. What has Drew done to be over Caruso and Herb? Be on championship teams? OKC Media Mafia. Who's the best interior defender in the NBA? Victor Wembanyama, number 1. Rudy Gobert, number 2. Am I crazy for saying I'm not totally confident I'd put Wemby ahead of Gobert just yet in terms of if we're just talking interior defense? We're just talking rim protection. AD also getting votes. Bam. Giannis, Jaren Jackson Jr. getting votes as well. I think what makes Wemby a little bit more interesting is that mobility, just the length, how it can sort of impact things when he's like switched out onto guys. But Jaren Jackson Jr. was number 1. Okay, wow. Who is the most versatile defender in the NBA? Giannis, number 1. I wouldn't go there, to be honest with you. OG, number 2. And the reason why I wouldn't go there is they don't really use him like that. Not that he can't do it. OG, number 2. I think OG would probably be my pick. Victor, number 2. I think Bam actually would have a pretty solid case here for being number 1 in this category. Drew Holiday, Jonathan Isaac as well. Drew's versatile, yeah. I think his size just kind of limits him, whereas some of these other guys can actually go 1 through 5. Herb Jones, Jaden McDaniels, Caruso getting a shout. Lou Dort, no. Aaron Gordon, yeah. Evan Mobley. Marcus Smart, no. J-Dub. Aaron Gordon. We really have gone, without Jokic, besides Jokic, I think this is the first Denver Nugget mention here. OG can play very big, yes. I think OG has a great argument here, as does Bam, obviously. I think I'd probably go Bam here. Yeah, that is no Draymond. No Draymond. Who is the best defensive team in the NBA? Celtics, I think, are the answer. Just, they're so versatile. Timberwolves will still have a great defense. Thunder will be very good defensively. Coaches. Who is the best head coach in the NBA? Spoelstra, number 1 by a comfortable margin. Dagnall, number 2. Steve Kerr. Okay. Ask Warriors fans about that. Steve Kerr, number 3. Budenholzer gets some votes. Okay. Budenholzer. Chris Finch also getting some votes. Yes, it's Eric Spoelstra. Which head coach is the best manager / motivator of people? Eric Spoelstra, number 1. Steve Kerr, number 2. Yeah, this is Dunleavy. So, right, Joe Mazzulla. Is that not Joe Mazzulla's thing? Like, is that not his whole shtick? Is that he's a fucking psychotic motivator? Greg Popovich, Doc Rivers, Jason Kidd here at number 6. Dagnall also receiving votes. Michael Malone, Tom Thibodeau. Jason Kidd. Look, Jason Kidd's got an argument for this because the defense just on paper never really feels like it should be as good as it is, but then you just watch them play and they're just flying around the court. Happy to see our Killer Kid get some votes. Which head coach makes the best in-game adjustments? Ty Lue, number 1. Wow. Good for Ty Lue, man. Eric Spoelstra, number 2. Dagnall, number 3. Rick Carlisle, Taylor Jenkins, Nick Nurse all getting votes as well as Chris Finch, Will Hardy, and Michael Malone. I don't know the vote percentages, Flip. I was trying to figure that out, but who has Pop motivated the last 5 seasons? His teams have been terrible since Kawhi left. Well, they've been tanking. Ty Lue is like known around the league for his in-game adjustments just being insane. Which head coach runs the best offense? Rick Carlisle, number 1 here, obviously. Joe Mazzulla, number 2. Chris Finch, Steve Kerr, also receiving votes. Dagnall, Michael Malone, Nick Nurse, and Eric Spoelstra. You want to know what's so interesting about this? Last year, Mike Brown gets number 1 after the Kings had their miracle season. What's funny is, statistically, the Kings were pretty much the same exact team, except the Western Conference was just better this year. And he doesn't even receive 1 vote. Isn't that kind of funny? Just how quickly this type of stuff can change. Which head coach has the best defensive scheme? So Spoelstra's number 1, obviously, but only 23% of the vote. Chris Finch, number 2. Thibodeau also tied for number 2. Joe Mazzulla, Mark Dagnall, Jamal Mosley, Ime Udoka also getting a vote. No Kill a Kid vote. Which new or relocated head coach make the biggest impact on his new team? Budenholzer number 1. I think that's the clear choice. Kenny Atkinson number 2. JB Bickerstaff also tied with number 2. Charles Lee in Charlotte. Jordy Fernandez. Charles Lee, potential coach of the year sleeper as they climb their way to the 7 seed. Jordy Fernandez. JJ Redick coming in last. Are these the 6 new head coaches? Were there any more? Is there a head coach that didn't get a new head coach that did not get a vote here? I'm trying to think. Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. Who's the best assistant coach in the NBA? Sam Cassell, Mika Nori, Sean Sweeney, number 3. How about that? He's getting closer to a head coach job. Chris Quinn, Jeff Van Gundy, assistant coach of the Clippers now. All of these guys listed here. I'm not going over all of these guys. Jordy Fernandez was number 1 last year. He has a head coaching job now. So what does that mean for Sam Cassell? Which active player will make the best head coach one day? Okay, I was just about to say, Garrett Temple always is high on these. There he is at number 2. Chris Paul, number 1. Mike Conley, number 3. TJ McConnell, Fred VanVleet. A lot of guards. Harrison Barnes, Bradley Beal, interesting. Jalen Brunson, Drew Holiday, Al Horford, Tyus Jones, Kyle Lowry. It's going to be so funny in like 10 to 15 years when some of these guys are coaches. Like Chris Paul as a head coach. That's going to make me feel old as shit. No LeBron. I think there's just like this underlying understanding that LeBron's going into ownership. Miscellaneous. Which team is the most fun to watch? Pacers number 1. Thunder number 2. Nuggets number 3. Warriors. Celtics number 5. Dallas Mavericks also got a vote. Lakers. Phoenix Suns. I'm interested if somebody picked the Lakers here as just like a fun hate thing. Like that could be it. Warriors. Are they really that fun? All these teams are fun. I mean, every team is fun to me. That's how much of a sicko I am. Which team has the best home court advantage? Nuggets number 1, obviously, because of the altitude. Thunder number 2, great crowd. Fantastic crowd. Celtics. Knicks. Utah Jazz. I think that could also be an altitude thing. Kings. Great crowd. Altitude Merchants. Which team will have the league's most efficient offense this season? The Celtics, overwhelming, number 1 here. Indiana Pacers, number 2. Thunder, number 3. Mavs at number 4, followed by the Knicks and the Suns. If I just had to give my quick... If I had to pick the top 3 offenses this upcoming season, I think I'd go Celtics, Pacers, and Mavericks. Which team's level of success this season is toughest to predict? Oh, this is a fun question. Pretty much every single team got votes, it looks like. Lakers number 1. I think that's fair. You guys know I'm high on the Lakers, but absolutely. The Suns, I think, have a legit case and a real chance to be the best offense in the league this upcoming season. Lakers, Rockets. See, like, honestly, the Pelicans could be number 1 every single year for this. Phoenix Suns getting some votes. The Mavericks getting votes. The Sixers getting votes. Also receiving votes is the Nuggets, Pacers, Clippers, Grizzlies, Heat, Bucks, Timberwolves, Knicks, Magic, and Kings. So every single team pretty much got votes here. Yeah, I think, for me, I'd say the Pelicans just because they are always like that. The Grizzlies should be higher on this list. We're all just penciling them in to be good again, right? And they probably will be, but I don't think it's as much of a guaranteed thing as people are making it out to be. Which team has the most promising young core? Well, that's funny because that's what we're about to do next on this stream. Oklahoma City Thunder, number 1. Magic, number 2. Rockets, Spurs, Pistons. I think that's fair. You guys are going to see mine here in a bit, so I don't want to spoil anything. Which player is the most athletic? Anthony Edwards, number 1. Giannis, number 2. So I would think just because Giannis is so big, I'd probably have him number one just because of the size. Amin Thompson. The Thompson twins definitely have an argument for being the most athletic player. John Morant, also receiving votes. Bam, Jalen Green, Jonathan Kuminga, Zion. No Luka. Yeah, no Luka. Zion does feel low here, but I feel like he's just hurt so much that people have just given up on him. Which player is the best pure shooter? Steph Curry by a mile, 87%. KD getting votes. Luke Kennard getting votes. Trey Murphy. Klay Thompson. Hey, Klay Thompson. Which player is the fastest with the ball? De'Aaron Fox. I feel like he wins this every year. John Morant, Tyrese Maxey, Kyrie Irving. Which player is the best at moving without the ball? This is a stupid fucking question. It's Steph Curry. Like, this is just a waste of everyone's time, it being a question. Desmond Bane getting votes. Mikal Bridges. Interesting. CJ McCollum. Duncan Robinson. Klay Thompson. Which player is the best passer? Jokic at 70%. Luka number 2, 17%. Tyrese Halliburton. Josh Giddey got a first place vote. I personally think it's Luka, but I'm not going to argue. I'm really not. Which player is the best leader? Steph Curry number 1. Jalen Brunson number 2. LeBron James number 2. Drew Holiday, Jokic, Chris Paul. It's really not that insane that people think Jokic is a better passer than Luka. I'm just gonna be honest. I wonder what they constitute as being like the best leader. Who's the most versatile player in the NBA? Giannis number 1, LeBron number 2 still. Damn. Kevin Durant, Jason Tatum, Victor Wembanyama, Mikal Bridges, Bam Adebayo, Drew Holiday, Jokic. How can a center be the most versatile player? I get it for Bam. Amin Thompson also getting votes. I think Giannis is a good answer here. They put Brunson in there because apparently he's giving up his money, his leadership. Yeah, KD could have deserved a shout here as well. Derek White, yeah. Which player is the best basketball IQ? Jokic number 1, LeBron number 2, Luka and Chris Paul tied for number 3, Halliburton number 5. Which player would you want taking a shot with the game on the line? Steph number 1, KD, Luka 3, Jokic, and Dame tied for 4 with DeMar getting votes, Shea getting votes, Kyrie getting votes. Jamal Murray, this is the first Jamal Murray mentioned. I think I'd have Luka. But I'm not going to argue with any of this. I'm a little bit surprised we're still going. All right, this is the last question. Thank God. What rule regarding play, schedule, draft lottery, playoff format, roster construction, etc. most needs to change? Roster construction, apron rules, trade math too restrictive, or should be indexed to team's market? So the GMs are fed up. The GMs are fed up with the new apron rules. This is definitely the Phoenix Suns. The Phoenix Suns definitely said this. The Nuggets said this. What other GMs do we think said this one? I think the Timberwolves probably threw this one into the mix as well. Number 2, schedule. Fewer games and or back-to-backs. Okay? I'm actually here for that. That right now would be my number 1 thing as well. Game flow, reduce stoppages and replay reviews, or change the G League 1 free throw rule. Oh, the G League 1 free throw rule. I don't really... free throws take 10 seconds. It's not really that big of a deal to me. Reduce stoppages, I would love that. I would love reduced stoppages and reduced replay reviews. Absolutely would love that. Playoff format, seed 1 through 16, or let top seeds choose opponents. Ooh. I do kind of like that. Top seeds choose opponents is fucking fun. Especially in a league that is as drama-driven as the NBA. That is fun. Free agency before the draft. That's what the NFL does. I'm not sure I care. Return to one-day draft. Yes, let's please do that. Also receiving votes. Add third round to the draft. Do we really need a third round? Draft lottery format. I wonder what that means. Expand all-star rosters to 15 players. That's really the biggest rule that needs changed. Elam ending. Fouls on lobs should be shooting fouls. Okay. I'm actually here for that. Playoff eligibility for two-way players. It's funny because I would love to know. I guarantee you could look at teams' rosters last year and figure out who voted this. If we just dived into teams' rosters last year and who had two-way players where, I guarantee you we could figure out who this is. Remove divisions. Okay. So there we go. This was fun. Wasn't as controversial as I thought, to be honest with you. There were some head-scratching ones. I will say this real quick. Shea is number one on their MVP thing. They had J-Dub as the best breakout. Caruso is the most underrated addition. All of this type of stuff. Really takes away from an MVP argument. I'm just saying. 7-round draft, 1 week long. I want to see last year's one. I don't really want to go through it like super in depth. Wow, look at that. Nobody liked Dallas last year. Jokic did win the MVP, so they got that right. All right, I'm not going through all of this. I don't really care. That was interesting. Took way longer than I thought. I thought that was going to be like a quick little 20-minute segment. That took an hour. Which is unfortunate. Gonna get into my bag with OKC hating. I really don't hate OKC. I think they're going to be really fucking good. I think OKC is going to be very good. All right, it's time for starting today. Starting today, it is slideshow time. It is Google Slides time. Time for some PowerPoint streams, folks. Some of our favorite streams. Here's just a quick little reminder while I get this all set up. Playback.tv/slightly biased. We streamed the Mavs preseason game a couple nights ago. That was a lot of fun. This is where we will be streaming games this year slightly early, which you see right here. I've sort of talked about this. I'm not going to fully announce anything just yet. But slightly early streams, which were some of my favorite streams last year, was some of my favorite content that I did. You guys, I was very surprised as to how much you guys liked the slightly early streams. Those will be happening here. Again, those will be happening on this YouTube channel every single morning. And not only that, some of you have asked, they will also be available in podcast format on your favorite podcast platforms, whether that's Spotify, iTunes, whatever the fuck you listen to. All right, today's slideshow stream, today's PowerPoint, we are ranking the best young cores in the NBA. Now, before we get going, created by Slightly Biased. Great work, Slightly Biased. Thank you, Slightly Biased. You're welcome, Slightly Biased. No, seriously, Slightly Biased. No, you're welcome, Slightly Biased. You look really good today, Slightly Biased. Thanks, Slightly Biased. You look great, too. All right, before we get into it, what do I classify as young core? Last year we did this. I should have followed suit. Last year we did the 2020 draft onwards, counted towards the young core. I'm mixing that up this time. Under the age of 25 on opening night classifies as young core. So guys 24 and younger pretty much starting on opening night count as young cores. I'm not counting Luka and SGA. I thought of a better way to do this while I was doing it, and that was it should be guys that are on rookie deals or aren't on max contracts, right? But well, that's not the way that we did it. Okay? So here we go. Let us get into this, shall we? I'm not here for arguing, so don't get mad at me. You guys are going to be mad at me about one ranking, but I'll explain when it all happens. I have the Celtics here at dead last. They are a team that is competing for a championship. They are an older team. This shouldn't be much of a surprise. Of course, Tatum and Brown are young and building blocks, so it's not like they're, years away from falling out. But if you look at their guys under 24 on their roster, Jordan Walsh, is he an NBA player? We're not sure. Jaden Springer, who they got at the trade deadline last year. This is the end. The Boston Celtics are not number one. Baylor Shireman. Oh, you just got here. No, this is the first team we've done. And Baylor Shireman, who they just got in the draft, who's 24 years old. So, any arguments here? I can't imagine that there are any. The Celtics look like they have the worst. Did you lose weight again? You kind of look like you were under 300 pounds. Fuck you, first and foremost. Take a look at this. Right? Okay, now imagine that. Roundhouse kick to your trachea. Do the math. Number 29, I do have the Phoenix Suns. Giving them the spot up on the Celtics. Why? Because I do think Ryan Dunn is an interesting player. He had a really nice play. I think it was last night. In their preseason game where he got a steal and a pull-up three in transition. A lot of people say that he's one of the best perimeter defensive prospects they've seen in a long time. But the offensive game is just none to speak of. But if he can shoot threes or whatever, he's somebody who can play for them immediately. 21 years old. Osa Ighodaro, they also got in this year's draft. I don't know how the fuck to pronounce that. Bulbuls here. I mean, I don't know. Not a great young core, but obviously this is an old team that is contending and wanting to win right now. You'll find that's a common trend amongst these teams here at the bottom. The Milwaukee Bucks, same thing. You look here, and it's where exactly is the talent that we can count on. I'll come out and say it. I'm a fan of Andre Jackson. I thought he had some interesting moments last year. What's his ceiling? I'm not so sure. Beauchamp, I'm pretty much completely and totally out on. A.J. Johnson, they drafted in the first round. Got a lot of shit for that pick. But, we'll see. Tyler Smith, they also just got Chris Livingston. We'll see how it all plays out. I'm giving them the nod over the teams below them because I do like Andre Jackson a decent amount. The Clippers are where we start to get into sad territory because you would want, if you're a Clippers fan, you would hope that there was a light at the end of the tunnel with some interesting young talent that you could maybe build around when this era inevitably comes to its conclusion. But you look at it, Cam Christie, who's somebody in the GM poll said was the best value in the draft. Okay. Kai Jones. Bones Highland. Is he even going to be on the fucking team anymore? Kevin Porter Jr. So the reason why I do have them higher is I would say out of everyone below, Kevin Porter Jr. is the better player out of anyone that we just talked about. Say whatever you want about the off-court shit. Should he be playing in the league? I'm talking strictly about basketball here. But he is 24 years old. Not really exciting either. It's not like he's great. Also not that fun to root for. So there you go. I have the Knicks here at 26. This is more of a volume thing. Deuce McBride, I think, is the best player we've talked about. Out of any player that we've mentioned, I think Deuce McBride is the player I'd want to have on my team. But they're just, this is it. Like they don't really have young talent. I mean, they're trying to win right now. It's not like their roster's old or anything like that. But if we're talking under 24, Tyler Kolek, who they just drafted, might be interesting. Might get some minutes. Joel Moran thinks McBride can be a six-man of the year candidate and close games over Josh Hart. I don't know about six-man of the year candidate, but it's possible, I guess. But he showed quite a bit of stuff last year. That's why he got a contract extension. Good-looking young player. I'm putting the Lakers here. And thought about switching the Lakers and the Knicks just because I like Deuce McBride more than any of these guys. But I will say, Max Christie, I am interested in. I think there's something there for him. Jalen Hood-Schifino, I'm not so sure. Max Lewis, I'm not so sure. Dalton Connect, I think, could be a good NBA player as well. So it's just more of a volume thing. And now that I'm looking at it, let's just pretend I swapped the Lakers and the Knicks. Okay? I am missing Bronny. Bronny was not on their basketball reference roster for some reason. Yes, no Bronny James listed. Pretend Bronny James is here. So any arguments so far? I mean, these teams aren't really worth arguing over, I don't think. Here's where I'm going with the Nuggets. And this might seem low. I think that there's a kind of a tier jump following this, where each team moving forward has some interesting young talent. And that is true with the Nuggets. Peyton Watson has shown plenty of flashes. Really good defensive player. Day'Ron Holmes tore his ACL. We don't know. Julian Strawther. We'll see. Some interesting stuff. Christian Brown, going to be starting this year. Zeke Naji, don't think he's a good basketball player, but he's 23 years old, which is surprising. I thought he was older. Hunter Tyson, But Christian Brown, we've seen him be a good rotational player in the NBA. Julian Strawther, there's definitely something there. I think that he could be a good NBA player. Peyton Watson, there's definitely something there. But they're all just kind of hopefuls and what ifs, and if they do end up turning out the way that we wanted to, we're just talking about rotation players. Like, we're not talking about any real potential all-stars or anything like that. Just solid rotation players, which is all the Nuggets need them to be fair. But when we're talking about a list like this, they're low. They rank lowly. Actually, the Nuggets being at 24 just surprised me. I thought they were a little bit higher. At 23, I do have the Nets, which, again, not really what you want to see as a Nets fan considering the state of your team, but you are moving towards a complete and total rebuild. Dariq Whitehead, who, did we see it all last year? Dealt with an injury. Noah Clowney, we'll see it from those guys. Both those guys drafted in the first round a year ago. Day'Ron Sharpe's only 22. That was a little bit surprising to me, but by a lot of like rebounding metrics, which aren't the most reliable thing, Day'Ron Sharpe is one of the most talented rebounders the league has ever seen. Cam Thomas, obviously, I think is the cream of the crop so far amongst players that we've talked about. Zaire Williams, who they traded for. Trenton Watford, who's kind of an interesting player. Jalen Wilson, we'll see. But Cam Thomas here, I think, is the intriguing player. We talked about no one we've talked about up until this point you would think has like real legitimate all-star upside. Cam Thomas does, although I'm not entirely sure he'll get there. He could, just from sheer volume and counting stats. Here's where I have the Mavericks. Now, we can debate about this all we want. I'm sure some of you guys are going to be upset by it. Derek Lively, 20 years old, obviously, is the centerpiece here. I think he's the best player that we have talked about so far. Jaden Hardy. I think the best case scenario, in my opinion, for Jaden Hardy is like a 7th or 8th man, to be honest with you. It's all right. It's all right. Omax, we are in pure wait-and-see mode if he can be an NBA player. And Quentin Grimes, who is 24 years old, coming off of a down year for him, but was at one point a pretty promising young player. But yes, Derek Lively is the cream of the crop, the best player we've talked about up until this point. I think for a while you'll see that be the case, where it's just, all right, who's the best young prospect here? And then we get to like, all right, there's 3 or 4 good young prospects. Now we have to figure out, is it better to have the one really good one and a couple okay ones, or like 3 good, not great ones, if that makes sense. Mavs have the best middle-aged player core? I don't know. Maybe. But Derek Lively is fantastic, 20 years old. Video coming out later today. That's all I'll say about that. I have the Wizards here, and yes, I do have the Wizards ahead of the Mavericks, and I might contradict myself a little bit here, because I would, I think, rather have Derek Lively than any of these guys, especially from what we've seen so far. But you do have Bilal, who I think is going to be a very good NBA player. Keyshawn George, who they just drafted, who's Johnny Davis. Keyshawn George, who they just drafted. And then Sarr and Carrington, who Sarr was getting first overall pick buzz the entire draft process until the draft got here. Was really bad in Summer League. I don't know. We'll see. Has the tools to be a really good player. And Bub Carrington looked incredible in the Summer League. So, and I do think Bilal Coulibaly is going to be a very good basketball player. So again, they're at the ground floor of their rebuild, which should not be the case. They should be well on their way for the rebuild, but they're at the ground floor, and they're working their way up slowly and probably not surely, just slowly. Number 20 is where I have the Grizzlies. This might sound shocking. I think for so long, people have just kind of lumped the Grizzlies into being a young core. Well, that young core is aging a little bit. Ja Morant's no longer John Morant is no longer a part of these discussions. Jaren Jackson Jr. no longer a part of these discussions. Jaren Jackson Jr., by the way, younger than John Morant. I learned that doing this. Desmond Bane no longer a part of these conversations either. But you got G.G. Jackson, who would have gone number 1 overall in this draft class, I think, if he stayed in college. Zach Edey, they just drafted top 10, 22 years old. Jake LaRavia, Santi Aldama, interesting player, 23. Vince Williams Jr. had a really nice season for them last year, 24. This kind of really depends on what exactly the ceiling is for G.G. Jackson. I think we see a Wizards title in your lifetime next 15 years. What the fuck are you saying? Next 15 years? You knock on glass, man. I don't like that. Is that a threat? Do I think we see a Wizards title the next 15 years? No. But who knows? It's impossible to predict the NBA 15 years from now. There will be people who are currently 4 years old playing in the NBA 15 years from now. Think about that. Anyways, it depends on what you think the ceiling is for G.G. Jackson. If you're thinking all-NBA ceiling, they could probably be a little bit higher. I think there's an all-star ceiling there. That's why he's here. Edey, again, it kind of depends on what you think the ceiling is for Edey. I think Edey will be a solid rotational player. Jaren Jackson Jr. was on a podcast talking about winning MVPs. Don't know about that. Jake LaRavia is just nothing to me. Santi Aldama is a fine role player. Vince Williams Jr., good role player. 19, I have the Utah Jazz. This is kind of a volume thing here. I think I'd rather have G.G. Jackson than anybody here on this list, right? But Cody Williams, they just drafted in the first round. Interesting player, Isaiah Collier. A very, very hyped prospect at one point in time. They just drafted in the first round. You always got to watch those guys. Taylor Hendricks, top 10 pick a year ago. Showed some real legitimate flashes last year in the rare times that he did play, so we'll see what's up with him. Keontae George, one of the biggest surprises of the year last year. Keontae George was one of the biggest surprises in the NBA last year, especially amongst the rookie class. Very interested to see where his career ends up. Bryce Sensabaugh, we really didn't see much of it all last year. And Kessler is still here, one of the weirdest players in the league. One of the weirdest situations in the league, I guess I should say. But I think this is totally fair. What do you guys think? Huh? This group got beat by the Mavs by 50. You guys realize this is a top, you guys realize the point of this list? Utah team is so weird, on the verge of tanking or the play-in. I don't think they're on the verge of the play-in this year. The Kings come in here. Now, this might seem a little bit high for the Kings. Let me explain myself. I think Keegan Murray is going to have a pretty sizable step. I don't know what that step entails. I don't know if we're talking all-star or what, but I think he's going to be a very good NBA player. And I think he takes a step forward. Colby Jones, we'll see. I like Devin Carter quite a bit, and I like that draft pick for them. And I think they're confident in him, seeing they I don't think they just give up Davion Mitchell unless Devin Carter is there. No, this is just like a long-term young core thing. And Keon Ellis, who I like quite a bit. The sackings. Klay Thompson. Dallas Maverick. That's still just crazy to say, huh? But I do like Keegan Murray quite a bit. I think we saw a nice step forward from last year, even though it wasn't really talked about much. And if you looked at the stat sheet, you might not really saw it. But defensively, I thought he took a pretty big leap forward. I think there's a lot there offensively that he hasn't reached into yet. And also due to situation and stuff, hasn't really had the opportunity to. And now that DeRozan's in the mix, that becomes a little bit more weird and interesting. But yes. The Miami Heat are here. They should be lower. I fucked this one up. They're kind of a hard one to peg, huh? Khalil Ware. People's opinions on him vary. People's opinions on Khalil Ware vary mightily. I think he's going to be really good. and he might be good for them immediately. Jovic, I've said this before. I don't know if he's going to get the opportunity this year, but he's an interesting most improved guy for me. I think there's a world where it could happen. Jaime Jaquez had a great rookie season last year. He's 23 years old. Tyler Hero is still somehow qualified for this at 24 years old. This is too low, maybe. Yeah, now that I see it, this feels good. And now that I say it out loud, like that's 4 very solid names right there. Hero and Jaquez are locked in virtually as starters. Oh, Jaquez and Hero are locked in quality starters and where it looks like wood if he was good. Yeah. Don't sleep on Jovic, man. He might be the cream of this crop. I do have the Warriors here. I think this is a pretty decent young core, actually. Like, I don't think it's as good as Warriors fans might say. I don't think any of these guys project to, like, take over for Steph Curry when Steph Curry retires. And these guys step in or the Warriors are still competitive. I don't see that, but I see 4, maybe 3. 3, like, really solid players. Brandon Podziemski, again, really, really surprising rookie season. Just kind of this do-it-all guard. Very interesting player who knows? You know, I said maybe it kind of feels like this is just who Podziemski is, but he has gotten much better every year of his career leading up to getting drafted last year and his rookie season. So that feels not fair to him. Kuminga's still only 22 years old, and he has been like this. He's the big breakout's coming. The big breakout's coming. The big breakout is 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 coming. We've been saying it for so long. Feels like he's 28 years old, but he is 22 and has shown enough flashes that the big breakout might be coming. We don't know. Moses Moody. Moses Moody is, wish he was better. Trace Jackson Davis, 24 years old, was an older rookie last year, but was really, really solid for them. This is a pretty solid young core, honestly. Pretty solid young core. Like, they've done a pretty good job drafting these guys. Now, of course, the Kuminga, was it Kuminga and Moody draft? What was the draft where they fucked up and could have had Franz, could have had LaMelo? Was that it? Heat better? I could see the argument. Kuminga has the highest upside out of anybody of the teams that we've mentioned recently. I have the Hawks here at 15, about middle of the pack. We will see about Risha Shea. Was just the number 1 overall pick in a very, very strange draft, but he was the number 1 overall pick. We have to factor that in. Looked good in the preseason. We'll see. I think Risha Shea looks to be a good player. I mean, the thing about Risha Shea being the number 1 overall pick was when you draft someone first overall, you want them to be a franchise-altering player, and Risha Shea's probably not that, so that's just why it feels weird. Kobe Buffkin, that's my guy. Let's see. That is my guy. Dyson Daniels, very interested to see what he looks like this upcoming season with what should be more playing time with the Hawks. He's shown some interesting stuff with the Pelicans. This is like tenacious guard defender. Jalen Johnson, hopefully we get a healthy season last year. Last year, dealt with injuries. Could have won most improved player if he played enough games. That's how good he was a year ago. Lots of flashes. This do-it-all wing who can create for himself. Monster in transition. Good defender. Good playmaker. Pretty fun stuff for Jalen Johnson. And Okongwu's still here. I mean, a weird year last year for Okongwu, but there's still some upside there. I want to say I think if the Hawks believed in Okongwu more, Capella would have been long traded, but Sixers here. So this is where the interesting conversations arise. Jared McCain drafted in the first round this year. We'll see. Interesting player off the bench for them. KJ Martin is who he is. Tyrese Maxey, far and away the best player that we've talked about up until this point. So it does raise the question, would you rather have the one really, really, really good player, Tyrese Maxey, franchise cornerstone, or would you rather have the Hawks, where you got like 3 or 4 like really interesting names and like Jalen Johnson kind of headlining it? or the Warriors, where you have like Jonathan Kuminga kind of headlining a couple of really interesting names. It really just kind of comes down to personal preference, I think. I think I would personally rather have Tyrese Maxey. Just full stop. I would trade all those players for Maxey, so yeah, give me Sixers. I think that's a pretty good way to look at it. So here's where some controversy might arise. Here's where I have the Bulls. I have the Bulls ahead. And let me explain why. Bazulis, I'm going to be real. I wasn't like fully diving into the NBA draft stuff this year. But Bazulis, I couldn't really get behind. But he was a pretty highly hyped prospect at one point. Julian Phillips, we'll see. Josh Giddey's still 22 years old, so that's I think where the conversation centers around. We'll get back to Josh Giddey. Dalen Terry, who they drafted in the first round a couple years ago. Patrick Williams is still 23. Isn't that crazy? Patrick Williams, still 23 years old. Jalen Smith, I think could be a more underrated pickup in the offseason. 24 years old. Kobe White's still 24. Ayo is still 24 years old. So we know for a fact Ayo Dosunmu is a rotation player in the NBA, a good one at that. Kobe White, we know for a fact, a good rotation player in the NBA. We've seen that. Should have won Most Improved Player last year. Jalen Smith, I think a passable rotation player in the NBA. We've seen it in his career. Patrick Williams, we know that he's a rotation player in the NBA, 23 years old. Josh Giddey, rotation player in the NBA with bigger upside. And this is where the center of the conversation, I think, has to be. It really, do you think Josh Giddey sucks? If you think Josh Giddey sucks, he's going to be lower. The Bulls will be lower because they don't have that centerpiece. For me, it's a funny turn of events. I've always shitted on Josh Giddey. A lot of that had to do with the fact that I thought his fit in Oklahoma City was horrible, which it was, and we saw that play out in the postseason, and it is why they inevitably went on to trade him. But I got to say, man, I think I'm interested by his situation here in Chicago. I'm interested in him being the guy, and him being the guy who's going to have the ball in his hands and play make and create. We shall see who's better, Kobe White or Giddey. I think right now you'd have to say Kobe White based off last season is better. But moving forward, and Bazulis is a solid draft prospect as well. So I think it's a decent young core. I know the Bulls get so much shit, but I don't know. Let's wait and see. Blazers here at 12. This is, I think, disappointing. If you're a Blazers fan, you would hope for this to be higher than this. But Scoot Henderson's rookie year definitely lowers this. Shaedon Sharpe is dealing with an injury again. He's been dealing with injuries his whole fucking career. Definitely lowers this. Anthony Simons has aged out of this conversation. Now, they did go and get Deni Avdija in the offseason, which definitely improves their young core. That's really, really solid. Deni Avdija, it's funny because there was a quote by Sam Cassell where he said Deni Avdija was their best player. And then he came out, not Sam Cassell, sorry, Chauncey Billups. And then he came out and said, I never said that. Deni Avdija was their best player, but looking at this list, I do think Deni Avdija is their best player. Does he have their upside? No. Scoot Henderson still has more upside than Deni Avdija. Shaedon Sharpe, I think, still has more upside than Deni Avdija, but Deni Avdija is a better player right now. Chris Murray, I don't know, we'll see. Toumani Camara, impressive rookie season, really, really, really good defender. Really good defender. Offensively, but that defense will play. And then you got Ryan Rupert, who I did not like in that draft process at all. I don't think he's going to be a good NBA player, truth be told. And then Donovan Clingan, who is just interesting. I think Klingan's being slept on in a lot of these best rookie talks. I really do. Because if that shot blocking and rim protection translates, he'll be one of the more impactful. I don't think Rupert was a lottery pick. He was a first-round pick. I don't think he was a lottery pick, right? Oh, no, he was second round. Why did I think he was a first-rounder? I feel like the Trailblazers should be a better team than they are. Yeah, I mean, look, it really boils out. If Shaden Sharp, everyone's been waiting, Trailblazers fans at least, have been banking on this Shaden Sharp breakout. Just hasn't been healthy, right? So if he was healthy, this is a different conversation. Scoot Henderson, if he had a better rookie season, if he was anything better than trash for the vast majority of his rookie season, he did play better by the end of the year, then they're in the top 10 here easily. Easily. But I think you're about to see that it gets a little bit loaded after this. It does get a little bit loaded. Like the Raptors in my mind would be a top 10. Like if I'm just factoring in Scotty Barnes, RJ Barrett, that sounds top 10 to me. Here they are at 11. So I'm a big Scotty Barnes guy. That's why I have them this high. I think Scotty Barnes is very, very good. I think his ceiling is through the fucking roof. I do think he has the tools and the skill set to be the number one on a very, very good contending team. The team around him has to be good. But I also think he has a skill set to be an outstanding number two. If the Raptors ever got somebody else or if he goes somewhere else, a outstanding championship level number two through and through. RJ Barrett was great with the Raptors. Like, it's kind of shocking looking at RJ Barrett's numbers after the trade. Like, he was just flat out really good. Yes, 25 is outside of the young courts. 24 and older on opening night. That's what I went with. Nearly 22 points per game last year for the Raptors. 39% from three on 4 attempts a game after the trade with 4 assists. Really impressive stuff. Emmanuel Quickley is not a part of this, which kind of surprised me. Grady Dick, we'll see. Rookie year wasn't that great. Jacoby Walter, they just drafted. Jamal Sheed, some people are really, really high on. So this is Grady, Nick Angstadt, Dick. I can kind of see it. I can kind of see the comparisons. I think that they do kind of look similar. So it really depends on how you feel about Scotty Barnes. But again, I'm very, very high on him. So that's why it's here. Number 10 is the Pelicans. So this is obviously carried due in large part by Zion Williamson, who still qualifies here, 24 years old on opening night. Incredible player. Was so good last year. Was so good in the play-in. Was so good down the stretch. And then fucking got hurt the closing minutes of the play-in game and missed the entire series against the Thunder. We got to see this guy in the playoffs, man. We have to. And I'm not like super in on their team, so I don't know if we'll do it. We'll see it this year. I don't know. I want to see this guy in the postseason. You might think this is too low, but just wait till we get to the other ones. Trey Murphy, great player as well, 24 years old. Yves Messi, we'll see. They drafted him in the first round. Jordan Hawkins, first round lottery pick, right? Last year. Showed some really decent flashes last season, especially early in the year when he was playing, when Herb and Trey Murphy were hurt. Still just think with their lineup, Jordan Hawkins getting minutes kind of sounds tough. With Ingram, with Zion, with Trey Murphy, with Herb Jones. Najee Marshall's gone, so maybe he just slots in there. But yeah, this is an interesting, still a very interesting young core. Still top 10. There's nothing wrong with that. Yep, Herb Jones is 26 years old. And of course, it's similar to what, like if Scoot played better, they're higher. If Zion's healthier, they're way higher, right? At number 9, my Charlotte Hornets. Look at this young core, man. Headlined by LaMelo Ball, who is a star player. Just needs to be on the fucking basketball court. People forget, man. All-star year 2 in the league. All-star second year in the league. Has played 50 games since then. Salon, who they drafted in the first round with a top, what did they draft him overall? 7th? Don't know what really to expect out of him this year. 6th overall pick. Don't really know what to expect out of him this year, but just kind of an interesting, toolsy Frenchman. We love these Frenchmen. Nick Smith Jr., who, what did he do last year? What was Nick Smith Jr. up to last year? Did he have a good season? I honestly don't know. Nick Smith Jr., who they drafted in their first round a year ago, rookie last year, 27th overall pick in the 2023 draft, was a high-end recruit coming out of high school. So always monitor those guys, right? Brandon Miller, phenomenal rookie season last year. That individual scoring, that creation that he had, that scoring creation he had at his size as a rookie was super impressive, and that usually means we're talking about a very, very good basketball player moving forward. Mark Williams, stay healthy. Good center, good young center. He needs to stay healthy. Same with LaMelo Ball. Trey Mann, whatever. Josh Green is here, 23 years old. Kind of actually like Josh Green's fit with this team. Kind of the run and gun stuff. Cavaliers here. So here's... this was the hardest team, in my opinion, to rank. Jalen Tyson, we'll see. Isaac Okoro is a whatever rotation player. Evan Mobley and Darius Garland are obviously the centerpieces here. 24 years old, Darius Garland. Evan Mobley, 23 years old. Darius Garland has made an all-star game. Had a very, very, very weird season last year, dealing with like 5 different things. I do think he has a bounce-back season this year and is much better over the course of the season. Evan Mobley, we talked about the mythical Evan Mobley breakout for quite some time. But Defensive Player of the Year finished 3rd 2 years ago. Got to dock Garland like LaMelo and Zion. Yeah. Is this young core really better than the Hornets? That's the tough one, because I think you have 2 really, really, really great young players, like 2 all-star level young players in Mobley and Darius Garland. And if you believe in a Darius Garland bounce back and an Evan Mobley breakout, then this is about, I think, where you have to put them. And you guys know I love my Hornets, man. You know I love my Hornets. Number 7 is where I have the Indiana Pacers. Johnny Furphy, 19 years old. They just drafted him. Interesting player with some tools. Jarris Walker, you guys know I absolutely adore Jarris Walker from the draft. Still in a very weird spot with this roster and roster construction since they brought Obi Toppin back. I don't know what the future holds for him on this team, to be honest with you. Benedict Mathurin, I'm not sure what I feel about him, to be totally honest. Isaiah Jackson, solid depth big, solid backup big, Isaiah Jackson is. Ben Shepherd, Tyrese Halliburton obviously is the centerpiece here, and Andrew Nembhard. Seeing Halliburton, this core is meant. Yeah, I mean, if you took Halliburton out, this team is in the 20s maybe. But Tyrese Halliburton is here, and he's very fucking good. Nembhard is good. Breakout candidate this year. They just paid him a bunch of money. He was incredible in the postseason. So he's good as well. So this is a solid young core. And obviously it's headlined by like a all-NBA level player, top 15 player, which that goes back to like the Tyrese Maxey thing. Would you rather have a handful of like really good players or like a great player and then a couple like okay ones? Pelicans clear? Maybe. I watched Nembhard drop a bag of weed at the concession stand when he was at Florida. Are you a fucking narc? You are a narc. Number 6 is where I have the Timberwolves. Dillingham, obviously they believe in him. They traded up to get him in the draft. Leonard Miller. Are we still interested in Leonard Miller? Anthony Edwards obviously headlines this. Jaden McDaniels, really, really good player. And Terrence Shannon Jr., who a lot of people are big believers in. 24 years old. Could have an impact immediately on this roster. We shall see. No complaints about this, right? I mean, Anthony Edwards, the best player we've talked about yet. A world where Zion is healthy, maybe. We could have an argument, but Ant is clearly the best player that we've talked about here. Jaden McDaniels, really, really good player. Rob Dillingham, lots of upside. Leonard Miller, I think, still has some upside. Thunder here at 5, so Shea has aged out of this, obviously, but this is still a great young core. J-Dub, I think, has real all-star potential and upside. Dylan Jones is an interesting player who had a really great preseason game for them. Chet Holmgren has all-star, all-NBA level upside. That there could be MVP all-star. There could be MVP upside there for Chet. I'm just telling you. You're not going to hear it. You're not going to like it. I do think it could be in the cards if some things go his way. Jay Will, a solid rotation big. Cason Wallace, who's going to be a really good player in the NBA. And Topic, man, that's right. You guys remember, slightly GM, Topic turned into one of the best six men in the NBA for his whole career and won a lot of championships for the Dallas Mavericks. Don't forget that. I did see Chet's shot. It looked a little strange. Chet's shot, I don't know how I feel about that, but even without Shea, this is a very, very good young core. I mean, you guys disagree with this? Now, I could see the argument. I'd rather have Anthony Edwards. Obviously, individually, Anthony Edwards is the best player of this grouping, but the duo of J-Dub and Chet, I think, outweighs Anthony Edwards. Just in my opinion. And then you add in, like, that's not even factoring in Cason Wallace, who's a really good basketball player as well. Jada will be a Rocket in 3 years. So in terms of like paying all of their guys, I think that was a big reason why Giddey was gone for a guy who's expiring in Caruso. But also, I think they're going to have to make a big all-in push at some point in the near future. Not this season, obviously, but next summer, I would not be surprised if the Thunder are like, all right, this is our time. We have to go now. Windows are never as long as you think they are in the NBA, ever, unless you have LeBron James. At number 4, we have the Detroit Pistons. I'm riding for my guys. I'm riding for my Detroit Pistons guys. All right? I'm riding for them. Ron Holland, top 5 pick. I think he's going to be a good basketball player. This is the disrespect to OKC. No. No, let me speak. Let me speak. Let me speak. Jalen Duren, 2020 machine. Asar Thompson, going to be a great basketball player for a long time. And if you guys watch my GM series, Slightly GM, you know how fucking good Asar Thompson is. And you know how accurate NBA 2K is. Jaden Ivey, I think going to be a good basketball player. Cade Cunningham, here it is, right? Here is the crux of the whole thing. If you are not a believer in Cade Cunningham, then this is not where you're going to have the Pistons. I am a big believer in Cade Cunningham. I think we're going to get a big Cade Cunningham season this year. Cade Cunningham was awesome last season. Nobody talked about it because the Pistons fucking sucked, and they had one of the longest losing streaks in the history of sports, so nobody cared. But Cade Cunningham was great last year. He's going to be healthy this season. There's more floor spacing finally in Detroit. And I think you guys are going to be shocked, and you guys are going to eat your words. You hear me? Another disappointment season coming according to Slightly. I'm a sucker for these type of teams, man. The Hornets, the Pistons. I'm a sucker. I really am. I think it's just because when you're right about a team like this, it feels good. I was right about Shea. I was right about Shea. I was right about the Thunder. I mean, that's not that hard to predict, but I was way ahead of the Shea curve. These next three are stacked. Here's where I have the Rockets. Cam Whitmore showed a decent amount of upside last year. Just going to be honest with you, though. I don't think his upside is as high as Rockets fans say, but I think he's going to be a good player. Reed Shepherd, who they just drafted, who you saw the NBA GM poll. People, 50% of the votes said that he was going to win Rookie of the Year. They all think that he's going to be the best rookie from this class in 5 years as well. Jabari Smith Jr., 21, man. 21 years old, going on year 3. We would like to see that upside tapped into more. It does feel as though it's like reaching this point with Jabari Smith Jr. where we've seen flashes, but it's like, all right, can we get like something consistent out of you? And I know your fit's kind of weird. They're doing different things with you, but can we see something with some consistency out of you moving forward? I'm in Thompson. I'm a massive believer in the Thompson twins, which is funny because entering the draft, I really wasn't that much of believers in them. Yeah, I'm believers in them now. Şengün is 22. And so is Jalen Green. They're both 22 years old. They'll be on this list for 2 more years. Şengün could make an all-star team this year. Had an argument last year. Jalen Green. We saw March Jalen Green again. Pop the fuck off. Can we get that over the course of a whole season? If so, they'll be a playoff or in the contention for a playoff team, a play-in team. The March theorem. Can we somehow convince Jalen Green every month is March? And Tari Eason is still here, by the way. Tari Eason's a great player. Tari Eason is a great basketball player. 23 years old. He's just like on the fringes with this group. And he's awesome. He feels like one of the odd man out, right? How many max deals will the team give? 2 or 3? So I do think that they'll have to make some tough decisions as to who goes. Right now, Şengün's going to get a max from someone. Jalen Green is a toughie. I'm not sure Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green, you let restricted free agency ride with him. That would be my strategy. Actually, I'd let restricted free agency ride with all of these guys. Şengün, you want a max? Let's see somebody pay you a max, and then we'll match it. But let's see it. Jalen Green, you want a max? Let's see if someone wants to give you the max. If so, we will match it, but we want to see it. You saw they were saying Reed is the next Curry. He looks fucking good, man. I think Reed Shepard's going to be really good. My hesitancy with him being Rookie of the Year is I just don't know if he gets the minutes. That's literally it. Sorry, Brad Stevens. I just don't get why, maxing Luka. Yeah, sure, max him. Like, max all those level players. Paolo. I would even say Franz is in that category. Max Franz. He's going to get max. Just max him now. Let's just do it now. Some of these other guys where it's just like, the Suns got so much shit for the Ayton thing. I think I was giving them shit at the time only because it's fun to laugh at the Suns. But the Suns got so much shit for the Ayton thing. That was just like the right decision 100% to let that shit ride out. All right, number 2, number 1. You guys know the teams left, right? It's Magic, Spurs, Magic. What direction would you guys go with these 2 teams? Magic number 1. So I went with the Magic number 2. Love this Magic core. Anthony Black, gonna be a good basketball player. Jed Howard, we'll see. Still, that pick was still just puzzling to me, but we'll see. Paolo, massive believer in him. I think he's gonna be incredible. Franz Wagner, you guys know how much I love Franz Wagner. Jalen Suggs, incredible year last year. Tristan De Silva, going to be a good player in the NBA more than likely. Cole Anthony, still 24 years old. Solid guy off the bench. Solid scorer off the bench. This is an incredible young core right here. An incredible young core. Paolo. If Paolo takes a leap, this team is a sneaky. I don't want to say championship team because that's taking it too far, but this is a sneaky, like, what a run by the Magic. They made the conference finals. Like, oh, this is so fun. I'm telling you guys, sneaky. I think the Magic should be number 1. So I did obviously go the Spurs number 1. I mean, I'm taking Wemby. I'm taking Wemby, I think, and I'm tell me if this is out there. I'm taking Wemby, I think, over any team below them, their entire fucking cores. If the Magic, if I was the GM of the Spurs and the Magic came to me and said, "Here's all of this. Here's Anthony Black. Here's Paolo. Here's Franz Wagner. Here's Jalen Suggs. Here they are. I'm trading all of them to you. for Wemby. I think I'd say no. So that's sort of where it went to. Stephon Castle, who, the jump shot thing, we'll see, but Sadie Sissoko, I don't know if he's going to be anything. Jeremy Sohan, still 21 years old. Malachi Branham, 21 years old. Devin Vassell is still 24 years of age. You guys know I love Devin Vassell. Stay healthy. And Trey Jones, really, 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 really solid backup point guard. 24 years old as well. Yeah, I mean it's Wemby. Like you have Wemby. That's it. I think no matter what team, like if we just go through the list of teams that were in the lottery contention whenever this draft went on, like if the Hornets had Wemby, they'd be number one. Who else was in contention? If the Wizards got Wemby, they would be number one. Would you rather Suggs, Boncaro, and Wagner or Wemby? I just said I actually think I'd rather have Wemby. I actually think I'd rather have Wemby. Unless you think Paolo can take a top 5 leap. Unless you think that's in his future at some point. Wemby can never get better. He's still a top player because the size of two players is like an extra on the court. Yeah. Give the Celtics got Wemby, would they be number one? Probably not, just because there's so little. So if you I had the Celtics dead last because they had Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, and Jaden Springer, I think. Are they number one if you add Wemby? No, they couldn't be, right? You couldn't put that over the Magic, right? Yes. All right, if you say so. Would you rather give Luka a blowjob or let Adam Silver poop in your hand? All right. That feels like a good place to leave the stream off at. Friday is one of my favorite streams. Best and worst case scenario for each NBA team seeding-wise. I always love this because I love doing the devil's advocate. The devil's advocate, you're basically playing devil's advocate for every team, and you're basically glazing every team as well. Answer that question. What was the fucking question? Would you rather give Luka a blowjob or let Adam Silver poop in my hand? Poop in my hand. I can wash my hands. So the Mavericks do play tomorrow night. I will not be streaming it. I have softball, so sorry to disappoint you. But I will be paying attention. Derek Lively video dropping today in the coming hours, folks. Be on the lookout for that. I think tomorrow I will be also dropping Charlotte Hornets propaganda. We're firing that bitch up. I'm really planting my flag on that one, huh? And then Friday, best and worst case scenario for every NBA team on stream, 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Here, the next week, we find ourselves 1 week away, and it's real go time for the predictions. Eastern Conference predictions next Monday. Oh, shit. There might have to be like a different scheduling on Monday because I think I'm actually going to the fair on Monday. So maybe Tuesday. Eastern Conference predictions. Wednesday, Western Conference predictions. Friday, award predictions. Following Monday, top 100 players. NBA season starts on Tuesday. Oh my God. Thank you all for coming out. All of the OGs, you guys know I love you very much. If you missed any part of the stream, I will be posting some of the clips onto the Slightly Biased Clips channel. So be on the lookout for that. All of the OGs, thank you guys very much. Could spend your Wednesday afternoon anywhere in the world you decided to spend it here. New subscribers, thank you so much. Promise you guys will not regret it. Donations, members, you guys never have to do that, but it helps me out tremendously. Makes me feel so good. You guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday. I will talk to you all later. Love you all. Bye.